whispers on pause. The forest was darker tonight. The moon was a ghost behind heavy clouds, and the dirt paths Severus walked felt heavier underfoot, wet with the last of the rain, slick with moss and memory. You walked beside him, quiet, each of you carrying your share of the small enchanted packages, ingredients wrapped and bound carefully in magically sealed cloth. Offerings, promises, payments. Severus said nothing, but he glanced at you more than once, his pace slower, a silent concession to the faint limp he still bore. You'd offered to come. He hadn't wanted you to, but he'd said yes, maybe because he was tired, maybe because he didn't want to be alone with the weight of what he owed. You stopped at the old hollow stump first. He placed 2 parcels there, whispered the incantation to renew the ward, and straightened with a pained breath. You held his hand. Next, a twisted root near a dry creek bed. Then the final stop, beneath the ancient willow, its hanging tendrils brushing your shoulders like fingers of something half asleep and half aware. The forest pulsed around you, thick with watching things. But it wasn't until you turned back, castle just barely visible through the tree line, that the real threat emerged. A flash of red eyes, a hiss, and then the low, unmistakable sound of paws on damp earth. Mrs. Norris. She darted past your legs, tail raised like a banner, her glowing eyes fixed and feral. "No, no, no," you whispered. "She's going to Filch," Severus muttered sharply, already grabbing your wrist. "Come on." You ran. His stride was longer, more fluid despite the pain, and he pulled you with him as the 2 of you made your way through the sloping grass, into the outer courtyard, then through the nearest entrance corridor. Too late. Filch was already there. He came shuffling around the corner, lantern swaying in one hand, the other gripping his walking stick like a weapon. Mrs. Norris twined between his ankles like a predator presenting her kill. "There you are," Filch said, his tone oily, victorious. "Both of you." Severus didn't let go of your hand, but his voice turned to ice. "She is out of bed," he said crisply. "As her head of house, I will be handling the disciplinary matter." Filch narrowed his eyes. "Funny," he sneered. "Seems I've seen this before. Not so long ago either. Same girl, same time of night, same excuse." Severus's jaw tensed. Filch stepped closer, his lantern casting harsh yellow light up under his jowls. "I think the headmaster would be very interested in this pattern," he drawled. "Very interested indeed." "She's my student," Severus said, low and sharp, "and I am within my authority to escort her wherever I deem necessary." Filch's lip curled. "But it's always just the one student, isn't it?" he hissed. "Alone. With you." The silence that followed was deep and terrible. Mrs. Norris let out a low mewl and slinked behind Filch's feet. "I'll be taking this to the headmaster," Filch said, straightening his spine with false grandeur. "Tonight." Then he turned and began to shuffle away, slow, smug, and triumphant. You stood there trembling, and Severus still hadn't let go of your wrist. He didn't speak for a long time. When he finally did, his voice was like thunder smothered under stone. "Get back to your dormitory. Now." You stared at him, stunned. "But now," he repeated, not cruel, just already slipping into the mask he wore for everyone else. You took a step back. He didn't move to stop you. As you turned and walked away from him in the dark hallway, your heart pounded like a war drum. The truth felt closer to being exposed than ever, and you didn't know what Severus would do next. You can't sleep. The others in your dormitory breathe slow and even, tangled in their blankets. Maren rolls over once, muttering in her sleep. But you lie stiff, hands balled into fists beneath the covers, your eyes locked on the faint outline of the canopy above. He told you to go, and you did. but every step away from him had felt like betrayal, like surrender, like letting Filch win. You imagine the lantern swinging in Filch's hand, his crooked smile, the satisfaction curling off of him like fog. You imagine Dumbledore's face when he hears, and your stomach turns. You sit up, pull your knees to your chest, and bury your face in them. You still feel Severus's hand around your wrist, still feel the echo of his voice when he told you to run. You want to go to him, but you know better. Tonight, it's not your move to make. The fire in Dumbledore's office is too warm. The room is quiet when Severus arrives, unbidden but expected. The headmaster sits behind his desk, hands folded neatly, eyes not surprised when he looks up. "I suppose you've heard," Severus says, voice flat.
"I've heard Filch,"
Albus replies, tone measured.
"and I've heard Mrs. Norris."
A pause. The flames crack.
"I'd rather hear you, Severus."
He does not sit. "I was out delivering components for a brewing schedule I maintain privately," he begins. Not a lie. Not entirely. "The student in question followed me. She will be dealt with."
"And this is the second time she has followed you out of bed at night without permission."
Dumbledore's voice is soft. Too soft. "I am her head of house. I handled it," Severus says, his jaw tight.
"Handled it? How?"
A dangerous pause. "I gave her detention," Severus replies, "and warnings, strong ones, if you doubt that I take this seriously."
"Severus."
His name lands like a weight. Albus stands, steps around the desk, folds his hands behind his back as he looks at the fire. The orange light dances across the rims of his half-moon glasses.
"You know I trust you,"
he says finally. Severus doesn't reply.
"I trust your judgment, your discretion, your devotion to this school, but you are not untouchable."
"I am well aware," Severus says coldly.
"The appearance of impropriety."
"There was no impropriety."
"I know, Severus."
Dumbledore turns now, his gaze sharper than usual.
"But others may not. And the girl—"
Dumbledore says her name.
"Must be protected. You understand that, don't you?"
Something shifts in his chest at the sound of her name in someone else's mouth. He straightens. "She is not in danger from me."
"Of course not. But she could be. From whispers, from suspicion, from those who would love nothing more than to paint darkness where none exists."
Severus falls silent. Dumbledore exhales.
"I've told Argus I will speak with the girl myself, privately, nothing more, for now."
Severus' shoulders go rigid. "Don't," he says quietly. Albus blinks. "Don't bring her in," Severus says again. "I will handle it. She's had enough attention."
"And if she's brought more than attention upon you, Severus?"
"Then let the blame fall on me, not her." They stare at each other. And for once, Albus Dumbledore has no immediate answer. The corridor outside the dungeons is quieter than usual. Even the portraits seem subdued, their painted inhabitants casting only brief glances as you pass. It's late, later than you should be out, but after a full day with no word, no message, and no knock at the door, you couldn't stay in your dormitory any longer. When you reach the familiar heavy wooden door, your hand hovers before it. You don't knock. You don't need to. He opens it before you can, as if he's been standing just beyond, waiting. "Come in," Severus says softly. You slip past him without a word, the warmth of his chambers a balm after the damp chill of the corridor. The fire is already lit. A single chair sits pulled close to it, a half-drained glass on the table beside it. He closes the door behind you. The quiet stretches long, until you finally ask, "What happened?" He doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he circles around you, slow, deliberate, and sits in the chair by the fire. "That he trusts me." His voice is unreadable. But trust has limits, even for him. Your breath catches in your throat. And me? You ask. Did he ask to see me? He wanted to. Severus finally looks up at you. I told him not to. I told him it would only make things worse. You move toward him slowly, like gravity's drawing you in. Did he believe you? He didn't need to. He sighs, rubbing his thumb over the rim of his glass. He simply allowed it to pass. For now. You kneel at his feet again, your hands resting on his knees. He doesn't flinch, doesn't move. You protected me, you whisper. I shouldn't have to, he murmurs back. You shouldn't be in this. But I am, you say. And I chose to be, finally. Finally. He touches you, his hand slipping through your hair, his fingers resting at the nape of your neck. There's nothing hungry in it, only need, only tenderness. I thought we'd lost everything, you say. You nearly did, he replies. If Filch had been more persuasive, or Albus less patient. But we're still here. His eyes flick down to yours. Yes, he says. We are. You rise slowly, climbing onto his lap, and he makes room for you without hesitation. Your head rests against his shoulder. His arms, stronger now, steadier, wrap around you. No one speaks for a long time. You stay like that until the fire dims, the room darkens, and the ache in your chest finally begins to ease, not because everything is fixed, but because you're with him, and that for now is enough.